This is a guide to servicing a DDV faceplate, the tools and materials required, taking a barrel out of service, completing the repairs, and then filling the barrel. The tools and materials you're required to complete this task are listed here, including the minor rebuild kit, the optional push label, and there is also a maintenance procedure available. To remove the barrels from service, firstly we need to defrost them by pressing the off button and then the defrost button. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes per barrel. With the product defrosted, we now need to empty the barrels. It's far easier with the barrel pressurized, so we need to turn the CO2 solenoid on manually. We then drain the barrel, and then once this has happened, we need to turn the CO2 solenoid off. Before removing the faceplate, we need to check that the pressure has been released from the barrel. And then we remove the 4 knobs and work our way around the edge of the faceplate to break the seal. With the faceplate removed, and to make it easier to work on, I suggest that we dip it in a bucket of warm water to rinse it off. Remove the bonnet from the faceplate. The 2 screws holding it in are not encapsulated, so be careful not to lose them. Secure the bonnet handle in a vise and then gently tap out the spring pin. Remove and replace the bonnet O-ring. The bonnet O-ring requires Molykote 11 lubricant. Remove and replace the piston O-ring. This O-ring also requires Molykote 11 lubricant. When replacing the piston back into the bonnet, we need to be careful to make sure the scalloped face is facing the handle. Replace the handle in a downward orientation for push action. It puts less pressure on the valve. And then gently reinsert the spring pin again using the shaft provided. Replace the quad seal in the body of the valve. The quad seal requires no lubrication. This seal comes in contact with the frozen product. Carefully seat the quad seal squarely into the valve body. Take care not to cut or scrape it. You need to remove the pull label and replace it with the optional push label to help define the action of the valve. The final step is removing the nozzle and replacing the nozzle O-ring. Again, this O-ring does require no lubrication. And then we replace the spring that holds the diffuser. Reassemble the nozzle with the diffuser facing into the body of the valve. Retighten the screws, and the rebuild is now complete. Sanitizing the FBD and the individual components when we have worked on them is vital, as the product produced is consumed by people. Please remember to wear the appropriate PPE when preparing and handling sanitizer. Replacing the faceplate is simple. The trick is having the beta bar shaft centered to the barrel. This is best achieved by having the front blade centered directly below the beta bar shaft. Then tighten up the faceplate knobs, but in a diagonal pattern from top left to bottom right. This makes for a more even pressure across the faceplate. Please note that the faceplate knobs only need to be tightened by hand, finger tight. It is very important to pressure test the barrel if you've ever done any work to either the faceplate, the rear seal, or the expansion tanks. To do this, activate the CO2 solenoid for the valve, and this is in the service menu under machine settings and under manual on-off. We need to turn the CO2 solenoid on and then go back to readouts. We need to monitor the pressure. We need to have 30 psi for at least 40 seconds or more. After that, we then purge the barrel 3 times to remove the air. With the barrel pressure tested and purged, we then need to fill the barrel by pressing the fill button on the control panel. The filling process is automatic, and the best place to monitor the barrel pressure is in readouts in the service menu. The filling cycle occurs automatically and cuts out when it gets to 25 psi. And as the CO2 is absorbed, or as you pull on the pressure relief valve, the filling will restart. It takes a while to fill. It's not a fast process. And we have to be careful not to overfill the barrel. The correct fill level is to the middle of the pressure relief valve, and when we reach this point, we press off on the barrel that we're filling. Start each barrel by pressing off, defrost, and then run.